She's the dance coach who turned young performers into stars and sparked a cultural phenomenon.
Have you learned nothing?
You call students lazy, stupid, sloppy, weak.
All in one sentence? I was kind of bossy.
How was prison?
I lost 127 pounds and I read 150 books. I couldn't move. I couldn't roll over by myself.
If you had a child, would you have let her be on Dance Moms?
Of course. She'd be a millionaire now.
She's the dance coach who turned young performers into stars and sparked a cultural phenomenon. But with the fame came controversy, drama, and even jail time. Abby Lee Miller became a household name for her no-nonsense attitude, her fierce passion for the stage, and, let's face it, some unforgettable clashes. After facing a high-profile legal battle and a life-changing health diagnosis, Abby is ready to share her side of the story, her lessons learned, and what's next for her. Now, tonight we're going beyond the drama, beyond the headlines, to get to the heart of the woman behind the choreography. Abby is here to talk about redemption, resilience, and redefining her legacy. Take a look.
Moms don't rule the dance studio, you idiot. You can go to hell and take a class.
You know what, Abby? You know that...
Get off your butt, walk over to Ross, and buy a ball. The people that were in here dancing are 1,000 times better than you. The last solo I gave you, you choked and you changed the choreography. Don't cry. There's always somebody else.
I'm sorry.
Your daughter is holding a national title and I will take it away in a minute.
Please welcome Abby Lee Miller. Abby, how are you?
I'm great. Nice to meet you.
Good to meet you. We'll help you switch over here.
Okay. Shall we do this? Thank you. Everybody always asks, when are you going to walk again? Are you going to ever walk again? And I'm like, I'm walking right now. Okay.
Thank you for being here.
Well, thank you for inviting me.
Yeah. First, when we saw you on tape and all, you were up and moving around, and now you're obviously managing a health issue. But we'll talk more about those challenges later and when it started and all of that. Let's take a look at the beginning of your journey.
My mom was the most creative person that I've ever known, and she taught children to love to dance. We got a flyer in the mail at the house about a dance competition. And I said, Mom, I want to do this. She thought, you're going to pay money to dance and people are going to watch you and tell you what they think of your work? Like, this is absurd. You should get paid to perform. That's the first time you saw the words dance and competition next to each other. It didn't exist before that. So I said, no, Mom, I don't want to do a solo and dance in the show. I want to choreograph a routine. That was my passion, my dream. So I took 3 of my girlfriends and I taught them a trio. I got the costumes, I rhinestoned them, I picked the music. I had to edit the music on reel-to-reel tape with a razor blade, and you cut it and splice it together. And they won. And I had that little 14-inch plastic trophy in my hand, and it was like suddenly I knew what I was put on this earth to do. The combination of my dad's toughness, his grit, and my mom's creativity made me into this dance teacher that is hard on kids.
So you didn't start dancing, you started teaching dancing really young. 3 of your friends, how'd you talk them into it?
I just told them they were doing it. I was kind of bossy. And when I first started my competition team, I was telling adults, you know, I was 14, 15, 16 years old, and I'm telling people that were school teachers and principals and people that own their own businesses, this is where you're going on vacation. This is what you're gonna wear Monday night. This is what you're wearing Tuesday night. And they did it. I guess I was believable.
And it worked, obviously. They won, you went on teaching, and then you wound up doing Dance Moms. And this was really controversial. It was interesting. You said they didn't cast it for the dancers, they cast it for the moms.
Yes, when They originally bought the show. A friend of mine created the show. Well, I created the show, but okay. So he gets credit for it. And they created the show, and 11 networks were interested, which is unheard of now. 11 networks. Lifetime bought it and immediately changed it into a housewives show that was centered around a dance studio. So it was to be 80% the moms, 10% the kids, and 10% the dancing, and 0% me. I was not on the show. They were just using my studio for free.
Okay, so in the beginning, you weren't part of it.
No, they just liked my building, and I was friends with the guy that created it. So.
Okay, so how did it get to become more about you?
I'm looking over his shoulder thinking, she owes me money, and she owes me money, and she owes me money, and she owes me money.
All of these moms?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, well, we'll get back to that. All right, coming up, why Abby says her aggressive approach as a dance coach was a must. And the way this was cast, I'm kind of understanding that. We'll get back to that right after the break.
Turn around, let's go.
How did it evolve from just using your building to you being front and center?
I was choreographing these routines week after week. All my senior company kids, these amazing dancers, brilliant, trained, they're in another room, smashed in there. I'm in the big room with like 5 little kids. So I brought some other kids in the room to go in front of the cameras that you wouldn't see them, or like behind scenes. And they would learn the choreography too, because I'm doing all this work for free. And I thought, something has to happen here, so I'll get the other kids in there, they'll learn it, we'll do it in the recital. I told one kid to go out and come back looking like a dancer. She had her hair down, big sloppy t-shirt on, and socks. It's dangerous. So within 5 minutes after the kid walking out of the room, the mother comes in, slams the door open, screaming, yelling at me, and the other children were frightened. So I kind of dashed out of the room, and she chased me around and around and around. So I dialed 911, and the dispatcher answered the phone and said, "Officer Broadway, what's your emergency?" And I thought, this is crazy. How did this happen? But it was like fate, and the heavens parted and the angels sang, and I said, there's a psycho woman. She's chasing me around my building. She's scaring the children. Come get her. I want her out. And they said, does she have any weapons? And I said, just her mouth. So when that footage got back to the network, they said, who is this woman? Well, that's the woman whose building you're using for free. From then on, I was on the show.
What are the chances of getting a 911 operator named Officer Broadway?
Well, that's what I mean. It was absolutely insane. And I looked to the corner, and the producer was there. And I looked at him, and I thought, no, you're not that good. You did not intercept the 911 call. There's no way. It was Officer Broadway, and a couple of years later, he brought his daughter to my studio.
Yeah, well, there you go.
Yeah.
Now, Dance Moms gained millions and millions of fans over its 8 seasons. Some of them don't know that their guilty pleasure all started with a really chance encounter.
I was in Las Vegas, Nevada, attending a big national convention, and I bumped in to a guy that I had known forever. He was a Mr. Dance of America. I said, come with me, their solos are on today. So we come into the back of the ballroom, and there's Maddie doing her little solo, and she's a cute little tap dance. And then Mia comes on and does hers. He said, Abby, these kids are adorable. They should be on television. And I said, yeah, let me introduce you to their mothers. So I took them outside the ballroom, and there they are, drunk, broke, and bitching about everything. The restaurant, at the hotel, the competition starts too early, it ends too late. I said, let's go. We get in the car, and he said, Abby, I have an idea, and it's gonna be really good. That was it. At that moment, he started to work on a format for Dance Moms.
Okay, so the show really was a train wreck show. It wasn't about dancing, it was about the moms being hard to manage to start with.
Yes, it was not a kid's show.
Yeah.
I kind of made it a kid's show.
Yeah. And how did it evolve? Because you developed these dancers out of kids that weren't initially the cream of the crop dancers.
Correct. And that's that's like an issue that people don't realize. When they came to find that's a big class.
That's a big class.
Yeah, that's in my studio. That's also what my classes look like, not 5 kids or 7 kids.
Yeah.
So when they flew in to find a cast, 30 families interviewed. 27 were my students. 2 were friends of mine who had little boys that I thought were hilarious that would make great TV. And then the 30th one was Kathy, who becomes my arch nemesis rival throughout the course of the show. But those 27 kids, there was a lot of talent in that pool, but they were the moms that were sweet and nice and paid their bills on time. And they didn't make good TV. So they picked the children, they picked the moms, and the kids were cute. They're beautiful children. They sat in a chair and they were interviewed like this. They didn't dance. Nobody said a 5, 6, 7, 8 dance.
They never saw the kids dance.
Nope.
But it was called Dance Mom.
They saw the kids dance on videotape that the moms sent in.
Okay,
So
but
that's different.
But it wasn't called Dance Kids, it was called Dance Moms.
Right.
So it was about the moms.
It was definitely about the moms.
And we all know what a stage mom is, and so they cast difficult people.
Correct.
So this whole thing was set up to be conflict television.
Yes, and the real scope of the dance studio, mothers don't walk into my room and open the door and ask questions or tell me things. They don't do that. Nobody wants to come through that door. Well, my secretary didn't even want to come in to give me a message, because when you open the door to a dance studio, every eye goes vroom to the door. You break focus of what's happening. But those mothers were told by producers, go in and ask her this, go tell her that, do-da-da-da, do-da-da-da, do-da-da. And then I blow up. I mean, somebody walks into my room in front of children, my students, and uses the F word, I'm coming at you, big time.
All right, now coming up, how Abby went from spending days on the dance floors to cement walls. We're going to talk about her time in federal prison when we come back. $36 trillion. That is the U.S. debt, and it gets deeper and deeper by the day. Our debt has never been higher, nor have the stakes. The government is looking to slash the federal budget by $2 trillion, and no one knows what that will mean for your job, savings, and future. I've seen a lot in my time, and there's one thing I know for sure. You need to prepare before it's too late. I trust Preserve Gold to help protect my wealth, and I strongly urge you to do the same. They are the only precious metals firm I trust and recommend to my family, friends, and audience, and they have a special offer just for you. Text Dr. Phil to 50505 to get your free precious metals guide from Preserve Gold. With gold prices recently breaking records and analysts predicting this trend to continue throughout 2025, you cannot afford to wait. As a bonus, you can get up to $15,000 with a qualified purchase from Preserve Gold. So don't wait. Text Dr. Phil to 50505 today. As a coach of the hit show Dance Moms, Abby Lee Miller is one of the most recognizable faces in reality TV, but her fans did not anticipate that Abby would go from screen time to hard time. Take a look.
I declared bankruptcy because I got to the studio one day and there was a notice on my door that my building was going up for sheriff's sale because I had not paid school taxes. I paid everybody back. Shouldn't that be a good thing? But I was, guilty of making money. They spent $4 million in Pittsburgh to get me, and the fine was $65,000. They were just going for the witch hunt. Ultimately, I went to a prison camp, and I spent 8.5 months there.
You went to prison for tax fraud?
No, I declared bankruptcy in 2010. The TV show started 4 months later. Yeah, so don't ever declare bankruptcy. It's the worst thing ever. But I was embarrassed. I was humiliated. When I built my building, I was 21, 22 years old. I borrowed $585,000 at 9.75% interest. All the taxes were in escrow. So years later, I bought a house in Orlando and I refinanced the building and the house all in one package. And they put the house taxes in escrow, but not the building. But I didn't know that. And then 3 years later, they come at me about it. And I'm like, when I was 2 months late, why didn't you come and say something? Why did you wait for 3 years? It was $37,000 and I didn't have it. And I was embarrassed and mortified and didn't want to tell anyone. I didn't even want my mother to know. So I declare bankruptcy, and then the show starts. I'm in bankruptcy. I don't start making money on the show. I was still losing money on the light, the gas, the heat, everything with them being there all the time. So I was starting to do my own events. I started to go teach master classes and guest classes. And that's when the money came in. It was all through credit card. It was all through a ticket company online. Every penny was accounted for. But it was suddenly, wait a minute, where's this money coming from? And I don't know what you know about bankruptcy, but probably nothing, Dr. Phil. But you can't just pay someone back. You can't make a couple $1,000s and pay this person back and make a couple more and pay this person. You have to wait till all the money is in to pay everyone.
Can't you pay the trustee and they pay it out to people?
Yes, but in my particular case, they wanted all of it in and then they would start making the payments out. And I paid everyone back 100% on the dollar. And I was indicted on 21 different indictments. The only one that stuck was that I was maybe going to walk away from the home in Orlando that I bought in 2008, okay? It was on an adjustable rate mortgage, and my bankruptcy attorney got on the stand in court and said, Abby knew nothing about this. She was adamant that she wanted to keep her house. She was not walking away, but we could not even get a phone call returned from Chase Bank. They did not want to play ball until we said, well, then she's just going to walk away from the house. Then, all of a sudden, Chase Bank goes, whoa, wait a minute. Don't walk away from the house. Let's work this out. And they did. 4.9%. It wasn't even that low back then. I still own the house. I paid every payment. And that's why I went to prison, because the judge said, if anyone at Chase Bank knew you were on a television show, they would have never negotiated the rate that low. How could no one at Chase Bank know I was on a TV show? Pittsburgh spent $4 million chasing me around, looking through my garbage in front of my house instead of just knocking on the door and asking me. And so they needed to get something back.
How was prison?
I went to a federal prison camp in California. It was like your mom and dad dropped you off at the wrong Girl Scout camp. Like, not the one with the horseback riding in the swimming pool, but the other one, the cheap one. That's what it was like. I lost 127 pounds and I read 150 books.
Yeah. Well, you had time to read.
Yep.
So you were really known for being sharp-tongued on Dance Moms. And I don't know whether that was your style or that was for drama on the show or whatever, but you were heard to call students lazy, stupid, sloppy, weak, pathetic, crybaby, trash, worthless, second rate. Were you that way in prison?
Well, the first few months, I was really sweet and nice and kind, so respectful. The next 3 months, it was getting a little annoying. Then the last 2 months I was there, when a guard would go, "Where's Maria at?" And I'd yell from my bunk, "You don't need that at the end of the question, it's a preposition." Yeah, so I had it by then.
So you were correcting their grammar?
Yeah, yes.
How'd that go over?
They didn't even know they were saying anything wrong.
You entered prison just 2 months before your 52nd birthday.
Mm-hmm.
What was it like to spend your birthday in prison? Did they give you a cake? Or?
Yes, they did. They're very inventive. It's insane what women can do with the microwave and food from the commissary. Crazy. They're very talented. There should be a whole show, a cooking show, but in prison, what you can do. It's unreal what they can do. Not me. I was so naive when I got there. The women were fighting over the microwave. So I just called my friend when you're allowed to use the phone and said, "Can you get like a dozen microwaves and just ship them here?" Just call Amazon or whatever, get them and send them here. And they arrive and they're like turned away because you're not allowed to do that. I was trying to be helpful, and I thought that's why they were fighting, was that. I had a birthday party. I was in like the cool crowd, and thank goodness. And we played bocce every Saturday night, and they made hors d'oeuvres with whatever they could muster up. It was wonderful.
Coming up, how Abby survived the biggest fight of her life. We'll talk about that next.
Oh. All right, I'm gonna check my catheter bag. So, get that out. We're all good. So the whole bathrooming, showering, all that stuff is scary and difficult.
We like make sure everything is like really sturdy. Kind of try to do handstands on it, make sure it's like really safe for her to use.
13 years after Dance Moms made its debut, fans of the show are taking a tougher look at the impact of the reality series and taking a harder stance against Abby herself. Now, what do you say to critics who tell you to just move on from Dance Moms?
Well, dance is my life. It's what I do. I still teach, I still choreograph, I still train students to become professional working dancers.
You trained women in prison.
I did.
You taught them how to dance.
I did a Christmas number for them for the big visiting day, for Christmas, for the holidays, for their families to come.
How'd they do?
They did great, and their kids were ecstatic. They were thrilled.
Yeah?
Yes.
So that's just what you do. You teach dance.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's in my blood.
And they've relaunched Dance Moms, right?
They tried. It doesn't do as well as my reruns. Yeah, I think they made some mistakes.
After a hiatus, the show came back for a final season, and they spotlighted your return from prison.
Yes.
When they did that, as well as this unexpected health diagnosis that you've dealt with. So let's take a look at that.
I had a pain in my back. It was so horrific. I had to flap my arms like a bird. They said it was Burkitt lymphoma. The cancer was choking my spinal cord. The damage was done. So paralyzed from here to there. And then I went through 10 rounds of very invasive chemotherapy.
You're in a complete remission. There's no sign of any lymphoma at all in that scan.
I had to learn to sit up, to bathe, to walk. I was walking 280 steps with a walker, doing great, and then I shattered my leg. So there's scars like all over this leg from down here. They wrap around, they're on the side, and then the knee. So it's been crazy. And I'm just afraid now. And once you have an injury where you shatter your leg, and then you have literally 3 months not weight bearing, it's rough. All right, do you wanna just, honey, do you wanna put some weight right here? Yeah.
You good?
Yeah. Yeah. Just pain in legs. Yeah. You have to be really motivated. I know. If I had a coach like me, if I had me to coach myself, I would be walking every day.
You've told us how you had to fight to even get the diagnosis done.
I had Burkitt lymphoma, and it's a very rare form of cancer found in little boys in Africa under the age of 10, and it's fatal. Mm-hmm. It lasts about 8 weeks. So they've determined I was at about 5.5 weeks, and I went to 6 different doctors, 5 doctors and a dentist within 10 days, and I got, go home and take it easy, honey, you'll be fine. Oh, she wants drugs. Oh, she's an actress. Oh, go home, you'll be fine. They all were wrong and waited too long.
And now you're retraining your body.
Right.
What is the reasonable goal? Will you be able to get back to 100% functionality?
I don't know if I'm ever gonna run through the airport to catch a flight. I don't think so. But will it be easier to transfer? Yes. Will I be able to walk from my bed to the bathroom? Let's hope, yes. The biggest problem when I was released from prison that's a whole other story too. I was in a halfway house. So when you're in a prison camp, it's all very white collar or people that work their way up to get there that aren't gonna do anything to jeopardize that. When you go to a halfway house, there's the murderers and the rapists, and you're just all living together. And you can only go to the closest doctor or the closest hospital. You have to draw a map where you're gonna go, how you're gonna drive there, and how you're gonna come back. And so I was very limited with the resources to have my back looked at. And shame on those doctors that missed it.
At this point, you're going through all of the retraining, the rehab, all of the things that you have to do nerve-wise, muscle-wise, and all. And this is an arduous process, obviously.
Yes.
But you are making progress.
Yes. A lot of it is mental. Having the confidence to actually take the step, to go up a step. I do stairs. Like, that's the big thing. I'm trying to go up and down stairs because so many places you go, the wheelchair just can't go up and down. After I've shattered my leg twice, not once, but twice, you're afraid that it's gonna break again. Because you have so much chemo, 10 months of chemo, and it was 5 days of a bag this big, right? And then I had spinal tap, where they go into your spine and they take out spinal cord fluid and they put chemo in. Then on the 7th day, I had a lumbar injection where it goes up your spinal cord and around your brain 10 times. And in between those 7 days, for 23 days, I would go to the rehab, the physical rehab place. So it was just a very long, painful process. And your bones are brittle, and they don't tell you that till you shatter your leg. Oh, it's from all the chemo, you have bad bones. Well, why didn't you start the osteoporosis stuff right after the last chemo round? Why do you wait till you break the leg?
But you've taken a few steps even this week, right?
I was 280 steps without stopping or resting before I shattered my leg. And now I'm back up to 75.
All right. So yeah, you're moving. All right, coming up, what led to Abby being canceled? Her controversial behavior, legal problems, something deeper? We're going to talk about that and hear what she has to say next.
I love Miss Abby because she is a great teacher, and my technique has improved so much with her. When I watched Dance Moms, I thought she was a little crazy, but I thought she was really being tough on the kids so they wouldn't get second all the time. They would get first place so they can be winners. I was like, I want to meet Abby Lee Miller so I can be that first place winner all the time.
And lunge again, this time hands on your knee.
I've learned to be kind, but also be tough. Because when you're tough, you get to push people to be their best.
And roll, step, passe.
Abby Lee Miller's inability to move on from Dance Mom times is probably one of the most pathetic things that I've ever witnessed, because if you know anything about the show, you know that Abby Lee Miller was a tyrant to these children who are now grown women. She needs to leave Dance Moms in the past and let these women heal.
Abby says former students, now young adult women, can't face her. Some of these young girls, now young women, are critical, but they don't talk to you directly. Why do you think that is?
At first, I had no idea. They thought that I was on production side against them, but that was not the case. I was fighting for them. I quit my job and said, I'm done, I quit. Get your stuff, get out of my studio, because they wouldn't let Maddie fly to LA to do the Sia video. I quit. They wanted to do something that I thought was completely inappropriate with Nia. I quit, walked out. So there were things that they tried to do, and I fought against production for the students. I was always trying to get better costumes, better music, money for licensing real music, things like that. And so I don't really know. Then other situations, I did some music deals for the kids. One little girl, I produced a #1 song, went to #1 in 3 countries, produced the video, everything. I haven't gotten one dime. Shows me a lot of money. Of course she doesn't want to face me.
One of your dancers, Paige, says, she, Abby, is actually out to get me. I was having panic attacks with just being in the room with her, and it just got very difficult mentally. Looking at us now, we all made it out. We're all successful, well-rounded people. It's going to be okay. So in looking back, some of them were kind of philosophical about it.
This little girl is a little girl. She was absolutely stunning, beautiful little girl. I loved this child. I went to her communion parties and this and that and everything. She could not learn a routine in 2 days. We had about 2 hours one day and 3 hours the next day. It took that little girl August, September, October, November, December to learn her solo in the normal dancing school year. It took her 5 months to learn a 2.5-minute routine, and sometimes she still forgot it. So for the pressure that her mother put her under, and subsequently I had to put her under, to get her to learn a routine every single week for years was too much for her.
Okay. Now, Kendall said, it was tough love. I probably cried every episode. I didn't like seeing my mom fighting with my dance teacher. I didn't like when my dance teacher called me old and washed up when I was 8
Look at
years
her.
old.
Look at that gorgeous girl that has $1 million in the bank, who's flourishing, who's going to be an attorney. She can handle anything. She handled me.
Jill, Kendall's mom, says it never ends good with Abby. It just never ends good with Abby.
Oh, it started pretty good. She made a lot of money.
Why does she say it never ends good with Abby?
I don't know why she said that. I have no idea. I just remember her walking into the studio, me taking her by the arm, sticking her in the interview chair and telling the producer, interview this woman. She's attractive. She's going to look great on camera. She'd be good on the show. I did that for her.
Well, many of Abby's former students have shut her out of their lives, but of all the Dance Mom cast members, JoJo is arguably the biggest star and one of her closest friends.
My relationship with JoJo is great. We are really close. JoJo! Have you learned nothing? Everyone sees me screaming at these little kids and they don't know what happened.
I was really good at interrupting, still am.
She would interrupt two adults speaking. And I used to tell her about it all the time. I snapped.
And in my concerts, I say, no one can tell me anything, because one day this girl looked at me and she said, JoJo, have you? And then everybody in the audience says, learned nothing. And they scream it back at me. It's amazing.
She is grateful for what I did for her. Mwah, how are you, sweetie? I love you.
I'm good, I love you. I appreciate you always.
And I'm very proud of her.
And she's done very well, right?
Very well.
Yeah. How many dancers have you put in Broadway shows?
I don't know the answer to that, but I know it's 26 Broadway shows. And I just heard some news yesterday. Yeah. I was in New York. I flew in this morning, and one of my former students, he's in Hamilton right now, and he texted me and he said, do you want to come see, and then he put it in quotes, my last performance in Hamilton at 1 o'clock. And I said, oh my God, I can't. I'm teaching today. Oh my goodness, oh my goodness. And I said, tell me what's next. And he goes, I can't right now, but you're going to be very pleased. Yeah. So I think it might be 27 Broadway shows soon.
All right, coming up, what's next for Abby, and questions from the audience when we come back.
I'm embraced by the Broadway community. I get invited to premieres, opening nights. You know, I've had kids in 26 Broadway shows. Let's go outside. We're right here. We're right here on Broadway. Okay. I have to put my all-rugged terrain on for the streets.
Can I have a picture?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. You're welcome.
Oh my! Thank you so much.
Dad.
Can we get a picture with you? With you? I love you so much.
Love it. How are you? What's next for you?
Season 9, I filmed it. It is at the editing bay right now, and it's going to be available for all of you to see soon. So that's happening. I'm going to a big convention in London. It's called Move It, and I go there, and then I'm going to be touring London and Wales for the next few weeks, and then I am judging the Dance World Cup in Spain this summer.
Oh, okay.
So I'm pretty busy.
You never had children of your own?
No.
By design?
I raised everybody else's.
Was that by design?
I was married to my studio. I was there every weekend at a competition or, in the building. I think my mom and dad always thought I would get married and that the man would handle the money and take care of the bills and do all that. And I just didn't think it would happen, and then I didn't worry about it. And now I'm in a chair, and I wish I had somebody to help me out every once in a while.
Yeah. If you had a daughter, would you have let her be on Dance Moms?
Of course. She'd be a millionaire now.
Yeah.
Do you understand, those little girls, people were sending them dresses, not a red carpet gown or anything, just a little dress for church Sunday, go in the backyard, take a picture, and a check for 50 grand back then. So that all accumulates very fast. They all purchased their own homes in California. I don't have a house in California, I think they're gorgeous. I think they're well-spoken. I think they're sophisticated. I think they're doing just fine.
Any regrets about the show?
Yeah, I regret signing that 4-year contract with a 4-year option for, what, $1,500 an episode?
Yeah.
They got a lot out of me.
Well, you built your brand.
Yes, I built a brand, and I don't get one penny, not one residual.
Well, but you built a brand.
Right, but going around teaching classes is not like television.
No, but it's not over.
It's not over.
Yeah. Questions from the audience? Raise your hand. We'll bring you a microphone, and you can ask a question or make a comment.
Hi, Abby. My name is Cece, and I have 2 daughters who are dancers and idolized you, never missed a show. How in the world were you able to choreograph such incredible, intricate numbers without you doing the dancing? I
was training my students to know their terminology. And don't forget, I was teaching from 3:30 until 10 o'clock at night. So you can't dance full out. And dance teachers that dance full out, they're not gonna last very long. And sometimes they're looking in the mirror at themselves. I was in front of a mirror every single day and never once saw myself. I only saw the children behind me. We did 637 numbers for a TV show. And never was nominated for an Emmy because they didn't submit them for choreography.
Anybody else? Raise your hand.
My name's Samantha. I have a question about Maddie and Chloe's relationship, because that was a huge thing for the show, their rivalry. Was it as intense behind the scenes as what we saw on TV, or did they have a real friendship, or was that fueled? What was the reality of that situation?
I've always had rivals in my studio, and I do that on purpose. It pushes kids, right? Maddie was at the studio all the time, never missed class. It was her home. And she was good. She was good at it because she was little. She was only, 7 when the show started? So, yeah, it was real. If you watch the first 8 minutes of the first episode, you're going to hear one mom say, well, Maddie's going to win. And you're going to hear another mom say, Abby's going to make my kid a star. That was the premise of the show for the rest of time, right there.
Yep. There you go. Final question.
Hi, Abby. I'm a huge fan. I just wanted to know if we could look forward to like a reunion in the future with the OG squad, the cast.
No.
I think the people will love it.
You're not gonna see a reunion with the OG squad. Nope. But you can go on my YouTube channel and watch the clapback of the reunion that they did called the Abby Lee Union.
Gotcha.
So that's a hard no on a reunion.
Yeah, hard no. Hard no.
Okay, all right. Abby, thank you for being here. Wish you nothing but the best.
Thank you.
I want to thank Abby Lee Miller for sharing her story tonight, and thanks to all you at home for finding us here at Merit TV. Tell all your friends that it's so easy to find us. Just download our Merit app by going to Apple App Store or Google Play. And don't forget to check out all the new Dr. Phil podcasts where you get daily access to Dr. Phil Primetime Monday through Friday, along with weekly episodes where I deliver unfiltered, powerful insights and practical tools, if I do say so myself, and help you navigate today's complex world. You can download, subscribe, follow, and listen to the Dr. Phil podcast for free on Apple Podcast, YouTube, or on your favorite podcast app or device. We'll see you next time.